In the heart of a tranquil village, surrounded by lush green hills, there lived a boy named Mikombe, whose sharp eyes and lively spirit set him apart from the other children. He was known for asking questions that no one could easily answer, and for exploring every corner of the village. From the bustling market to the quiet riverbanks, Mikombe's curiosity was boundless, like the rivers that carved their way through the land, and he often found himself seated at the feet of the village elders, listening to their tales late into the evening. Among the many stories shared by the elders, one always held Mikombe spellbound. The tale of Nsongu, a fearsome demon said to guard an unimaginable treasure hidden deep within the forbidden forest. The elders spoke of Nsongu's blazing red eyes, his voice like thunder, and his cunning nature. They warned that no one who ventured into the forest ever returned, for Nsongu's lair was shrouded in darkness and mystery. Yet, where others felt fear, Mikombe felt excitement. He spent hours imagining the treasure, glistening gold, rare gemstones, and perhaps even ancient artifacts of great power. His mind buzzed with questions. What did the treasure look like? Was the demon truly invincible? What would it feel like to outwit a being as old as time itself? These thoughts danced in his head day and night, fueling a growing obsession. His grandmother, a wise and cautious woman, often scolded him gently. "Curiosity is good, Mikombe, but too much of it can lead to trouble," she would say as she stirred her herbal remedies. "The forest is not a place for the living. Nsongu's shadow reaches far, and those who seek his treasure lose more than their way." But Mikombe's fascination only grew stronger. The idea of becoming a hero, of uncovering a treasure no one had dared to claim, filled him with a sense of purpose. While other boys dreamed of becoming hunters or farmers, Mikombe dreamed of adventures that would make his name immortal. To him, the forest wasn't just forbidden. It was a challenge, a riddle waiting to be solved. In the quiet hours of the night, he would sit by his window, gazing at the distant silhouette of the forest under the moonlight. Its tall, twisted trees seemed to beckon him, their shadows whispering promises of glory and danger. Mikombe's heart raced at the thought of stepping into the unknown, of proving to himself and the village that courage and cleverness could triumph over even the darkest of legends. And so, Mikombe began to plan. He gathered stories from the elders, piecing together clues about the forest and its secrets. He memorized the paths near the edge of the woods, noted the phases of the moon, and practiced using a sturdy stick as a makeshift weapon. In his young mind, the pieces of his journey were falling into place. The warnings of his grandmother and the elders only added fuel to his determination. For Mikombe, the legend of Nsongu wasn't just a tale, it was an invitation. And though he did not yet know what awaited him in the forest, one thing was certain. His curiosity would not let him rest until he discovered the truth. The night of the full moon was heavy with silence, broken only by the soft rustling of leaves and the occasional call of an owl. Mikombe crept through the sleeping village, his lantern held close to his chest to keep its glow from alerting anyone to his daring escape. The cool night air carried the faint scent of damp earth and wildflowers. But as he approached the edge of the forbidden forest, the aroma changed to something darker. Moss, decaying wood, and an unfamiliar tang that made his skin prickle. The forest loomed ahead, a wall of towering trees whose gnarled branches intertwined like grasping fingers. Shadows stretched across the ground in twisted shapes, and the faint light of the moon barely penetrated the dense canopy. Mikombe hesitated for a moment, his heartbeat quickening. He clutched his stick tighter, summoning his courage. This was the moment he had dreamed of. No turning back now. As he stepped into the forest, the air grew colder and heavier, pressing against him like an unseen force. The wind whistled softly through the trees, but it wasn't a comforting sound. It seemed to carry whispers, words he couldn't quite understand, but that sent shivers down his spine. The lantern's glow created a small bubble of light around him, casting flickering shadows that danced like ghostly figures just beyond his reach. The deeper Mikombe ventured, the more the forest seemed alive. The creak of branches overhead mimicked the groans of ancient beings, and the crunch of leaves beneath his feet echoed unnaturally, as if the forest were amplifying his every move. His sharp eyes caught glimpses of glowing insects flitting between the trees, their lights winking like tiny, mischievous spirits. Despite the eerie atmosphere, Mikombe pressed on, his resolve unshaken. After what felt like hours, he came upon a peculiar sight, a massive tree that dwarfed all others around it. Its roots twisted and coiled like the veins of a giant, sprawling across the forest floor and disappearing into the earth. The tree's bark was blackened and cracked, as though it had endured countless storms and fires. The moonlight, now stronger, seemed to highlight the tree, giving it an almost otherworldly presence. As Mikombe approached, his lantern revealed a dark hollow at the base of the tree, a cave hidden among the roots. The opening was jagged and uneven, like the mouth of a great beast waiting to swallow its prey. Cold air wafted from the cave, carrying with it a faint metallic scent. Mikombe's heart pounded, but he swallowed his fear. He had come this far. He couldn't turn back now. He crouched low, holding the lantern aloft as he peered into the cave. The flickering light revealed rough stone walls covered in moss and strange carvings that seemed to glow faintly. This was no ordinary cave. It was a gateway, a place of secrets and danger. Mikombe's curiosity flared stronger than his fear. He had come this far. He couldn't turn back now. He crouched low, holding the lantern aloft as he peered into the cave. The flickering light revealed rough stone walls covered in moss and strange carvings that seemed to glow faintly. This was no ordinary cave. It was a gateway, a place of secrets and danger. Mikombe's curiosity flared stronger than his fear. He could almost hear the stories of the elders ringing in his ears, the warnings about Nsongu and his treasure. With a deep breath, Mikombe stepped inside, the shadows closing around him like a cloak. The air inside the cave was colder still, and the sound of dripping water echoed faintly. The boy's lantern cast long shifting shadows on the walls, making the carvings seem alive. He tightened his grip on his stick and took another step forward, the thrill of discovery surging through him. This was it, Nsongu's lair. The forbidden forest had revealed its secret, and Mikombe was ready to face whatever lay ahead. Mikombe stepped further into the cave, the flickering light of his lantern casting long, trembling shadows on the damp stone walls. The air was heavy and cold, carrying an almost suffocating silence that made his every footstep sound like a thunderclap. As he rounded a jagged corner, the light suddenly reflected off two blazing red eyes that pierced through the darkness like embers in a dying fire. He froze, gripping his stick tightly as an imposing figure emerged from the shadows. Nsongu stood tall and fearsome, his form towering over Mikombe. His skin was as black as the cave walls, blending seamlessly with the dark, and his massive horns curled upward like the roots of an ancient tree. Glowing symbols writhed across his chest like living tattoos, and his clawed hands radiated an eerie light. His voice, when it came, was deep and resonant, vibrating through the air like a distant thunderstorm. "So, a mortal child dares to enter my domain," Nsongu rumbled, his lips curling into a cruel smile. "Do you seek my treasure, boy? Or has your foolish curiosity simply led you to your doom?" Mikombe's knees quivered, but he stood his ground, clutching the lantern like a talisman of hope. "I seek the treasure," he said, his voice trembling but resolute. "If the stories are true, then I am willing to face whatever challenge you set before me." Nsongu chuckled, a low, menacing sound that echoed off the cavern walls. "Brave words for such a small creature," he said. "Very well, the treasure you seek is not easily won. You must prove your worth by solving 3 riddles. Answer correctly, and the treasure is yours. Fail, and your soul will be mine for all eternity." Mikombe swallowed hard, but nodded. "I accept." The demon's eyes flared with delight as he spoke the first riddle. "I am not alive, but I dance and play. I have no lungs, yet I breathe all day. What am I?" Mikombe frowned, the riddle twisting through his thoughts like a leaf caught in the wind. He thought of the stories he had heard, the way the wind played in the trees. "The wind," he said finally, his voice steady. "The answer is the wind." Nsongu's smile faltered for a moment, but he quickly composed himself. "Clever," he admitted, "but let us see if you can handle the second riddle." He leaned forward, his glowing eyes narrowing. "I fall from the sky but never stay. I fill the rivers but run away. What am I?" Mikombe hesitated, the demon's presence weighing heavily on his thoughts. He remembered the rains that would come and go, filling the streams that nourished the crops. "Water," he said, with more confidence this time. "The answer is water." Nsongu's claws tightened into fists, his fury barely contained. "Impressive," he growled. "But no mortal has ever answered my final riddle. Prepare yourself." The demon's voice dropped to a low, menacing whisper. "I have no hands, yet I knock on your door. I have no feet, yet I march on forevermore. What am I?" Mikombe's mind raced, the pressure of Nsongu's glare making it harder to think. He closed his eyes, trying to shut out the fear and focus. The elders often spoke of something that no one could escape, something that moved endlessly forward, unstoppable. "Time," he whispered, opening his eyes to meet Nsongu's furious gaze. "The answer is time." The cave shook with Nsongu's roar, a sound of pure rage and frustration. The demon's blazing eyes dimmed slightly as he reluctantly straightened, his massive claws opening to reveal a golden chest. "You have won, mortal," he said, his voice filled with bitterness. "The treasure is yours, but remember this. True wealth is not found in gold or jewels. It is found in wisdom, pal." Mikombe stepped forward cautiously, his heart pounding as he took the chest from Nsongu's bar. The demon faded back into the shadows, his glowing eyes the last thing to disappear. Mikombe turned, his lantern illuminating the path back to the surface. He had conquered the demon's challenge and claimed the treasure. But the demon's parting words lingered in his mind as he began the journey home. As dawn broke over the horizon, the once dim village began to stir, its people waking to another ordinary day. But this morning would be far from ordinary. Emerging from the edge of the forbidden forest, Mikombe appeared, his lantern swaying gently in one hand and a gleaming chest tucked under his arm. His clothes were torn, his face smudged with dirt, and yet his eyes shone with triumph. The villagers, initially stunned by his unexpected return, quickly gathered around him, their whispers swelling into excited chatter. "Mikombe has returned. He went to the forest and lived to tell the tale. Did he truly find the treasure?" Mikombe raised a hand to quiet the crowd. With a steady voice, he recounted his journey, the eerie whispers of the forest, the monstrous figure of Nzongu, and the riddles that tested his wit and courage. As he spoke, the villagers hung on his every word, their awe growing with each detail. When he opened the chest, revealing its golden glow and sparkling jewels, gasps of amazement rippled through the crowd. But Mikombe's heart was heavy with the demon's final words. "True wealth lies in wisdom." He understood that the treasure was not meant for his personal gain, but for the good of all. Standing tall, he addressed the villagers, his voice resolute. "This treasure is not mine alone," he declared. "It belongs to all of us. We will use it to build a better future, a future where no child goes hungry, where our fields flourish, and where we can share our stories and wisdom with the world." Under Mikombe's leadership, the gold was put to work. Roads were repaired, wells were dug, and the village market expanded, bringing new opportunities and prosperity. Mikombe ensured that a portion of the wealth was set aside for education, inviting elders to teach the children the old stories and skills that had kept their culture alive for generations. He reminded everyone that the knowledge they passed down was as valuable as the treasure itself. As the village thrived, Mikombe's name became synonymous with courage, wisdom, and generosity. Children would gather around the fire at night, eagerly listening to how Mikombe had outwitted Nzongu and returned a hero. His tale inspired young and old alike, teaching them that bravery, wit, and a selfless heart were the keys to true greatness. Though many admired his deeds, none dared venture into the forbidden forest again. The legend of Nzongu and Mikombe's daring journey stood as both a warning and a source of inspiration, ensuring that the lessons of the past would guide the future. Mikombe, now a man of wisdom and respect, would often sit beneath the great baobab tree, sharing his story with wide-eyed children. "Remember," he would say with a smile, "treasures are not always made of gold. The greatest riches are found in the love we share, the knowledge we pass on, and the courage to do what is right." And so, the tale of Mikombe and the demon lived on, shaping the hearts and minds of the village for generations to come. Mikombe was a curious and courageous young boy from a small village surrounded by lush forests. The elders often warned the children about one part of the woods, a dark, haunted area said to be home to a terrifying demon. But Mikombe's inquisitive nature outweighed his fear. Driven by a desire to understand the unknown, he ventured into the forbidden forest despite the warnings. Deep within the shadows, Mikombe encountered the demon, a creature with glowing eyes and a voice like thunder. Instead of attacking, the demon challenged Mikombe to a game of riddles, promising great rewards if he won and dire consequences if he lost. Despite his fear, Mikombe accepted, knowing that intelligence and courage were his best weapons. For hours, the boy and the demon exchanged riddles. With each answer, Mikombe showcased not just his knowledge, but also his cleverness, often solving the riddles by thinking outside the box. In the final round, Mikombe asked the demon a question so profound that it could not answer. What is the one thing you cannot take from a wise heart? The demon was stumped. Admitting defeat, it kept its word and granted Mikombe a treasure, a magical seed that could grow an endless harvest. Instead of keeping the treasure for himself, Mikombe planted the seed in the village square, where it bore fruits that never ceased to grow. The village prospered, and Mikombe became a hero. He taught his people that true wealth comes not from hoarding riches, but from sharing them and using knowledge to uplift others. Lesson from the story, Mikombe's tale, teaches us that intelligence, bravery, and generosity are the keys to overcoming life's challenges. Facing fears often leads to unexpected rewards, and true leadership lies in using those rewards to benefit others. Questions for reflection. 1. How does Mikombe's decision to share the magical seed reflect on his character? 2. If you were in Mikombe's position, would you have taken the risk to face the demon? Why or why not? 3. What does the demon's inability to answer Mikombe's questions say about the power of wisdom? By reflecting on this tale, we are reminded that challenges are opportunities in disguise, and the greatest victories are those that benefit everyone. How will you apply Mikombe's lessons in your own life? Thank you for watching. Discover the rich heritage of Africa through timeless folktales told with wisdom and heart by Law Surge. Each story carries lessons, history, and culture that connect us to our roots. Stay connected. Follow Law Surge for more stories and insights on African traditions. Contact, insert email or socials. Explore our mission to preserve and share African heritage. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep the stories alive.